Stream. Here we go. I like that. Streaming live from Los Angeles. Welcome. All right, we got to start with a little blessing. Let's do a little blessing first. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu la'asok divrei Torah. Let us soak ourselves in Torah. Okay, now this week, is, this is going to be interesting. We are at a point in our story. Now we're getting judges. We have magistrates being appointed. We'll see what I mean in a second, because there's a lot. I feel like there's a bunch of contradictions in this Torah portion. Maybe not contradiction, maybe it's opportunity, maybe it's benefit of the doubt. Maybe you're like, well, what are you talking about? Well, here, let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. I am going to share my screen over here. Get ready. Boom. All right. Let me just make sure I got everybody over here too. I want to be able to see everyone on my screen. All right, here we go. We're just jumping right in. Don't read the Deuteronomy 16:20 part yet. Don't read that. It's famous, but don't read it yet. Okay. Deuteronomy 16:18-19. You shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in all the settlements that your God Adonai is giving you, and they shall govern the people with due justice. Okay. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Okay. In your own words, who can kind of just break that down for us right now? In your own words, who could just break that down for us? I know I'm not frozen.
You just be careful of how you look at people.
Okay, be careful. So, but first we're like, all right,
but
here we go.
Don't assume.
Judges. What'd you say, Merle?
Don't assume.
Oh, you know what happens when you make assumptions?
You make an ass out of you and me.
No, don't say it. This is a family show.
Sorry.
Gosh, Merle, come on. No. So first we're like, all right, we're going to be appointing magistrates and justices. What is this an extension of? If we think back in the second book, perhaps Yitro, Torah portion Yitro. Do you remember what happened in Yitro? What happened in Yitro? Cindy, go.
He said to delegate, that Moses had taken too much upon himself.
You took too much upon yourself. And Moses is like, well, God wouldn't have given me this if God didn't think I could do this on my own. And Yitro's like, that's not what leadership is, right? Leadership is, all right, you get the people together who you trust, right? Who you believe in, and they're going to help you, right? You're going to get the people to help you to govern the people. So, okay. So then he was like, yeah, great. So now here is the manifestation of that. But these are the laws and the ideas that that the people are supposed to set up when they make it to the promised land, right? After they enter the promised land and start setting up their people. Go, Rebecca.
Well, my question is God listening to Yitro then? Because prior to Yitro, there was no delegation.
Okay. So it's a very interesting question. And we're going to, that's one of the things that's going to bring up some very interesting points a bit later. So, and I want to break this one down because the first part of it says, let's go back to it. The first part of it, boom, says, all right, here's what you're going to do. 8, right? You're going to appoint judges God is giving you, and they shall govern the people with due justice. Now, the next line, you shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Why is that here?
Brad? It probably was happening.
these kind of things are happening. It's almost like it was human nature, if you will. Right? It's almost as if it was human nature to take bribes. It was almost human nature to, not govern justly. Almost human nature that it'll blind you. So let me ask you this: for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. What does that mean? Go ahead, Brad.
No, I don't have any comment.
But you're scaring me in all the red. What's going on over there? It's like, oh, Brad is joining us from a different kind of down under. I don't know. And Douglas is going to join you because he's drinking beer again. All right, so this is interesting. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Now, let's take a look at the next line. Famous justice shall you pursue. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, that you may thrive and occupy the land that your God is giving you. Let's break this down. First, why justice twice? Why can't it just say it once? What's the point of repeating it? What you got for us, Cindy?
That the first is, this is what my notes from Rabbi David's.
Yes.
The first
May his
is
memory continue to be a blessing.
That the first justice is the courts, and that the second is on the judges themselves.
Okay, why?
Their own behavior. So it's not just following the law, but they also, for the others that they are judging, but they have to have good behavior among themselves and their lives.
So but I still don't understand why it would have to be said twice.
Because the first is what they're judging for others, and the second is they're judging their own behavior.
How so? How do you see that in here?
I don't understand what's not clear.
Well, why is the first one for themselves and the second one is for others? How do you?
Because they, as judges, are judging and deciding about others' behaviors, but they also have to have their own behavior.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like, it's not just for the others, but it's also for you. Okay. All right. I see where you're going with that. Ben, go.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's interesting how here you have the Word of God written a long time ago, and even today, it's a fundamental challenge of our justice system. And you said, Rabbi, and I paraphrase what your words were, that it's human nature.
Is it? That's the question.
So fundamental. And then here you have God saying, well, you should judge everybody equally, which I think what Cindy was saying. Everybody should be judged by the same standard, a high standard. Yes, we fight over it today. So what's wrong?
That's what's so interesting. I feel like it's like justice. It's like bringing attention to this word, justice. Justice shall you pursue. Now let's break down this word pursue. What's up with this pursue? Brad.
Well, I think the message here is that justice is true justice is really just out of the reach of human beings. The only true justice is divine justice.
Whoa. Because pursuing is like I'm constantly running after it, right?
Right.
The assumption under the keep pursuing it means that it's like, I don't always have it. I don't have it. I need to get there. 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 I'm just going to miss it. Just going to miss it. Right? Are we ever going to get there? Okay. So Brad, say what you said again, because then it leads into this next cuckoo bananas part. Go. Say what you said again.
Well, I said the only true justice is divine justice.
Okay, so then why, if that's true, Why give the people the opportunity and the responsibility? If the only real justice is divine. It's as if we're automatically setting people up to fail, or we're automatically setting up people to rise, giving them the opportunity to do the right thing. We're either setting them up to fail, or we're setting them up to succeed and rise. But regardless, it's as if we're in this kind of equilibrium, just kind of moving. And in order to reach, we need to do the work. And in order to fail, it's also, it's like, it's so interesting. It's like I saw, like the saying, it was like, the exercise is hard, right? Exercise is really hard, but so is being unhealthy and not strong and overweight. That's also hard. So choose your hard, right? Choose your hard. And there's already that assumption that people aren't going to choose the justice because we're listing all these other things. Don't take bribes. Why am I telling you not to take bribes? Because people take bribes, right? Don't show partiality. Why am I telling you this? Because people show partiality. All right. And then we're saying pursue this. But if that's the case, it's also I like this. Perhaps it's also like God being a parent figure, giving you the opportunity. I know but you may fail, but you may not. So then here's the next part that also started blowing my mind a bit. So now Deuteronomy 17 goes. So this is still all connected. Think about like magistrates and courts and justice and if after you have entered the land that your God Adonai has assigned to you and taken possession of it and settled in it, you decide, I will set a king over me, as do all the nations about me. Meaning, I want to be like them. They got a king, I want to have a king. You have a king, I want a king. Right? It's very interesting. Be sure to set as king over yourself one of your own people. You must not set a foreigner over you, one who is not your kin. Okay, what is going on here? What is going on here? Why would the people, right? If we're talking about, we got this level of justice, then we have, okay, now you have a king over you. Now you have a king over you, right? Be careful of who you choose. Why is God saying be careful of who you choose? Go, Merle.
So that whoever you choose hopefully will teach you and not be judgmental.
Okay. But so there's wow, I'm playing Mr. Negative Nathan today. By saying that, is there already the assumption that you have the very good possibility of not choosing the right person?
Sure.
Okay, but then this is so interesting. I jumped ahead in the text a little bit for this next quote. We're going to come back in between it, but this next quote, I was like, what? Wait, what? All right, here it is. When you enter the land that your God Adonai is giving you, you shall not learn to imitate the abhorrent practices of those nations. Now, one could say it's those nations within your land or those nations about you, right? Right here, and the people were like, I want a king just like they have. Yet God is saying, here, don't imitate them. Don't imitate them. Perhaps God doesn't see the kingship as abhorrent. God doesn't see the kingship as abhorrent. I'm not sure, right? Because it's almost as if when you put that person in that space, that person becomes like deified, if you will. The king becomes almost deified, right? There's a term for that when it's like when the kids, when I talk to the little kids and I'm telling them stories, I'm hanging out with the ECC kids and whatnot. Sometimes people are like, oh, there's God, right? Little kids associate that, right? They associate it. And I was like, no, because if that's the case, we all in trouble. But there's that association when you have this authority figure, right? So we know that that danger exists because in all the other like surrounding nations or whatnot, and even like where they came from in Egypt and all that, right? Their kings, their pharaohs, their whatevers are also equated with deities. So why, first, I would think that God would think that that practice is abhorrent, but why would God say, all right, you can have this king, but when you go into this, don't do what they do? So it kind of feels like that's a mixed message to me. All right. So now check this out. You ready for this one? Maybe here is the safety net or the stopgap. From among your own people, your God Adonai, get ready for this, will raise up for you a prophet like myself. That is whom you shall heed. That is whom you shall heed. Okay, what is that saying about, or what could that be saying about God's feelings about a king, God's feeling about leadership, God's feeling about hierarchical leadership? What do we think? Go, Merle.
That whoever we choose, whatever they are, they should be more godlike.
Yes, okay. But who is God saying that you should actually listen to?
God,
And so in the human flesh form,
for the people.
not the people. Well, this is a person.
Well, oh,
Who's talking? Is that you, Barry?
no, it's me. I would think it's his messenger. And in
Oh,
this
Brad.
case,
Go. Okay, sorry.
Since this book is a recapitulation, is it not warning that Moses should not be deified and Moses should not be, I mean, he is some.
Oh no! We lost Brad. So yeah, go, Rebecca.
So this verse is in the Christian Bible of John 124.
Yoni.
Yeah, it's they're saying it's Jesus.
Yes, clearly. But what about, but it's like, it's Isaiah, it's Hosea, right? It's Yirmiyahu, it's all of the prophets from among your own people. Your God Adonai will raise up for you a prophet like myself. That is whom you shall heed. So what happens if the king and the prophet disagree? What happens if the king and the prophet disagree?
The prophet becomes a martyr.
The prophet will, because what? The king is going to let, but what it is saying is that the people need to be following the prophet's words as opposed to the king. So you can see that kind of when it goes into the other into the, like a Christian Bible and understanding. Roy, go.
Well, I would say the prophet has the authority over the king because the prophet is the direct messenger of God. The
So
king
what does
wasn't
that
chosen
actually
by God.
say then? Great. So what does that say about God's belief in this king idea?
Well, then he's the expression of what the people have expressed that they want. It doesn't come from God. It comes from the people who learn from the prophets. You know, it's like sort of a chain. So he's not this whole, the divine right of kings that came up in the 1600s. That's not biblically based on Deuteronomy here.
Right. So basically, it's God saying, like, okay, you can have your king, go have fun with your king, but at the end of the day, it's really the prophet because the prophet is my mouthpiece.
Right.
Go have fun with your king because that's what other people do, even though you shouldn't do that. But make sure you have the right person but then there's another stopgap that I'm hiding from you over here that comes up. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Kings are corruptible. You just have to read through the book of Kings to see all the different kings that we've had and all the problems.
Yeah. That's what it's like. God's like, all right, I mean, you want this. It's not going to turn out so great for you, but okay. But that's like God allowing them to do what the people around them are doing, even though God says, don't do what the people around you are doing. Right? It's almost like a free willy thing. All right, but now check this out. Now we're going backwards. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show you. That's not the one I wanted to. Oh, I might have cut it out. Okay, we're gonna go back to it. No. All right. So I accidentally cut it out of my text. So the next one, when it's talking about the king, when it's talking about the king, it says, okay, you can have this king, but make sure that the king keeps this book right next to him at all times, that he is learned, that he understands that this is the way that you're supposed to govern and live and all that kind of good stuff. Let's see. Let me see. So what is that saying? Can't believe I forgot it. I'm going to find it. I got it over here somewhere. Got it over here. Here it is. No. It's okay. But that's basically what it's saying. You can have the king, but the king has a rule book. This is the rule book. And the real word is coming from the prophet. Now, if the prophet and the king don't get along, listen to the prophet. But then there's a line that says, but if what the prophet says doesn't come true, then that wasn't a real prophet. And the king is like, that's not a real prophet. All right, so it's almost like they're setting up all this potential for chaos and cuckoo business. All right. Nice. All right, we're going to move on. Are we ready to move on unless somebody else has something to say on this issue? Hearing none. Here we go. All right, check this out. This one, we're going to move to another level here, and I really like this. So when the people go into the promised land, right? People go into the promised land. Ephraim and Manasseh, each of those groups, they get land, right? What happens when they go into the promised land? The whole land is going to get divided, right? The whole land is going to get divided. And we talk about the Bnei Israel. Who are Bnei Israel? The children of Israel, the literal children of Israel. That kind of makes up the tribes. But then Joseph isn't a tribe. He had his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. They become the tribe. So that means now there are a potential of 13 groups getting land. There's one group that doesn't get land. Which group is that? Do we remember?
Levites.
The Levites. Yes, so the Levites don't get. So here's what's interesting. The Levitical priests, the whole tribe of Levi, shall have no territorial portion with Israel. They shall live only off Adonai's offerings by fire as their portion. And they shall have no portion among their brother tribes. Adonai is their portion as promised. What does that mean? How is God their portion as opposed to the land given by God being the portion? What does that mean for God to be their portion? Go ahead. Who we got over here? Oh, Ben, you raising your hand? Go ahead, Ben. So
They have the
savvy.
great portion or the great blessing of being able to study Torah, study God, be intellectuals, and to be priests. I mean, what a greater blessing than to be a member of the clergy.
So how do you? So okay, so they don't have a land, but how do you? All right, this is fascinating. Great questions. Okay, here we go. How do we think that the Levites feel about not having something that physically, tangibly belongs to them? How do you think they feel about that? What's the positive and negative of that? And the flip side, the other 12, they have the land, they have the portion and whatnot, and they have to bring offerings. Who gets those offerings? The Levites. How do you think they feel about having to support the Levites? Right? So how do the Levites feel about not having something that's tangibly their own? And how do those who have something tangibly their own feel like, why do they have to support these people? What do we think?
I think that practice still goes on today. I mean, especially in I'm going back to the Christian religion, all the ascetics or or the for lack of a better word, all the priests in the church are given their own homes that are attached to the church, right?
That I don't know about.
I don't know. Ascetic life is in a lot of religions.
Okay, but it's not necessarily saying aesthetic life, right? Where else is this playing out? It's very, very interesting. Where else is this kind of playing out right now?
With the army.
Right? It's this argument of a thing. It clearly it is not the same, but it and at the same time it can be similarly equated, if you will. Right? So, I mean, as interesting, Ben just wrote, happy to support the Levites as leaders in spirituality. Right? Happy to support the Levites. So then it's like, yeah, but what does that mean? I'm here working my tush off. See, Merle, that's the word you use. Okay? Tush. I'm here working my tush off over here. And then I'm just bringing it to these guys and they say that they're saying a prayer for, how do I know? Maybe they are corruptible. Maybe they're not due to true justice. Maybe when I give them the offering, maybe when, Menashe gives the offering, but Ephraim gives a different offering. They like Ephraim's offering better. So is this kind of like turning a blind eye to Menashe, but they like Ephraim? Do you see what I'm saying here? This argument. And how do you think the Levites feel about that for themselves? Go ahead, Doug.
Haven't they been in charge of this all along? And therefore, it should not be any big deal.
Well, when they get this, there isn't an all along yet, right?
And maybe 12:30. I just wondered if you were coming. Okay, bye.
And then what does all along mean, right? Because I mean, this is fascinating. Let's go back to, like 1947, 1946, right? And 1948, and Ben Gurion, he's thinking about, okay, yes, we'll give them exemption to go study too. But never in his wildest dreams did he think the number was going to be the number that it is, right? Ben Gurion was very specific about the quote unquote level of study that one needed to be involved with, right? In order to be exempt from the military service, right? What is happening today is not what Ben-Gurion necessarily had in mind.
Hello?
Hello, who's that? Who's talking?
No, I'm sorry he's not available.
It's Elaine.
Oh. Wait, where's Daylene? I don't even see her on here. Okay.
She signed, yeah, she just muted.
Oh, good. Great. Okay. Okay, so going back to, so from this, the Levites are like, dude, how do the Levites then, do you think, perceive themselves in comparison to the other tribes?
Well, my question is, how do the Levites compare themselves to the prophets?
Oh,
Because the Levites are studying, right? And
that's not so. The Levites aren't actually studying, right? The Levites are sweeping and burning and collecting and building, and right. I mean, they're the ones taking care of, because what is the offerings? What are offerings? The offerings is like the animals and the first fruits, and they're putting it on the fire and the burning and the slaughter and the right. So it's.
I thought they oversaw the religious. Oh yeah, the religious rites. Yeah.
It's a good question. It's like, what would you choose? Would you choose territorial portion, or would you choose Adonai as their portion as promised? Because it's funny. It's like what Ben was saying, happy to support the Levites as leaders in spirituality. I mean, what's that equated to? It's like, cause you all pay my salary. Right, exactly. It's like, this is you have all these you have your lives and you work and you do all these things, or you're retired and you have this, and then you add this on top of your lives, your responsibilities, and what it's like I'm kind of collecting that, and in doing so, hopefully, right, helping you in your pursuit of spirituality and education and learning and growth, right? I'm not saying I'm succeeding. I am saying I am trying. All right, Cindy, go.
So not having their land, they didn't have to be farmers and they didn't have to spend their time working. They could have other goods. And then the people had to provide the food for them.
Yes.
So probably was a good deal.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think it's a good deal. I'm having a great time. I get to hang out go to camp, hang out with the nursery school kids, and be with all of you. I mean, this is like, so really, I'm very grateful for all of you. Thank you. Thank you for helping to support these with your first fruits.
You're worth it.
Here we go. We're going to move on, because now this is fascinating right here, right? Okay, we're talking about justice. We're saying that justice, it needs to be like, right, blind. That there shouldn't be things that sway us one way or the other, which feels as like justice in its purest sense is justice, as opposed to, let me ask you this, because I really don't know the answer. Is empathy and no, what rachamim? How do we translate rachamim? So we'll say, well, is empathy a part of justice, or is justice black and white, or ones and zeros? Or is empathy, should empathy play a part in justice? I'm looking for another word too. Cindy, go.
Well, I think we see it with the Menendez brothers. Are we supposed to feel sorry that they were abused? And does that change the fact that they killed their parents? Or do we take away the empathy and just say, no, the fact is they killed their parents?
But so that's my question.
Yeah, so it's modern day, we're seeing it.
Here is rachamim. Rachamim is compassion and mercy. Does compassion and mercy and empathy have a place in justice? Brad.
Well, I'm not answering your question, but
You're so Jewish.
If you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality test,
yes, sir.
One of the most confounding questions when I took that test was, which is more important to you, justice or mercy? And that helps to define your personality type according to the Myers-Briggs approach. So it's posed as an either or. Which is more important, justice or mercy? Not mercy within justice or justice within mercy, but as an either or choice.
So wow. So is justice mechanical? Pure justice? Mechanical? In that way? I mean, it's fascinating because then it's like, right? If it is, which one are we going to? Where is it?
It is mechanical because justice is following the rule of law.
All right. So let's take a look. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd you go? There we are. Nor must you show pity, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Is that the justice that we are talking about? And it's as if it's like, well, it's not really what it's saying. Maybe it's like compensation, maybe, right? And this is within our own tradition. I mean, these things have been midrashed but with over and over and over and over again, right? Because this feels, if you just look at it like this, you're like, wow, okay, that's pretty rough. It doesn't take into account circumstances. It's if this happened, this happens. This happens, this happens. That's pretty rough. Ben, and then I saw Ben. Did I see Roy? Did you raise your hand, Roy?
No,
All
it's
right.
Merle.
We got, okay,
Merle
well,
raised their
yeah,
hand.
because the two of you look exactly alike to me.
And Rabbi,
Yeah, go, Ben.
Here it says basically the same thing 5 times in one sentence. That's pretty direct, 5 times. So how are we not to take it for those 5, what it says 5 times, word for word? Why did he say it could be, well, literal, or it could mean something else?
Well, exactly, but it also says, if your children talk back to you, you could stone them to death. Right? It's fascinating. I mean, this is kind of a tangent, right? It's just fascinating what people you choose to look at literally versus figuratively, and based on maybe their own kind of feelings with things. Because also, like, when we talk about death and killing and those kind of murder, thou shalt not murder, but you murder, it's like you murder, then you're gonna be murdered. But then there have to be more than one witness. There has to be at least 2 witnesses. And then in the Talmud, it's like, yeah, okay, yes, we believe in the death penalty. However, the death penalty can only happen on, like, this is not what it says, but it's the idea. The death penalty can only happen on every other Wednesday when the moon is only just right in one place, but there's just has to be enough light, and there needs to be like 6, 7 people and everybody, right? It makes it as difficult as possible, right? Making things as difficult as possible to follow through with this. Because then this is fascinating. What's going to come next? Because this, we said like, boom, it's 5 times. This is a bit. Ben, get ready for what we're about to see. But Merle, I know you want to say something first.
I'm just thinking that making these decisions it's very difficult. And how does one make a decision that's fair to others?
Especially when we said, okay, we're going to put these people in charge, right? Like when we started right from the beginning, we're going to put these people in charge. They're the ones that are going to now, make sure you pursue justice, pursue it. Make sure you don't take bribes. Make sure you don't do this. Make sure you don't do that. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot. We're talking, so don't mess around here because this is serious.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
like you have to carry a list with you and make sure that others follow the list.
But even that, you can, they're making a list, checking it twice. They're going to
It's
find out if
impossible.
it's naughty or nice. But the keeping a list does not include mercy, compassion, and empathy. Right?
Well,
But
the list isn't going to have feelings on it.
well, it's not going to have feelings.
You can't demand that a person have certain feelings.
Brad, go.
Well, I think within an eye for an eye, there is an element of mercy within it, in the sense that the punishment is supposed to be proportionate to the crime. So, in other words, if somebody
Wow,
steals,
okay.
if somebody steals a loaf of bread, you don't execute them for that type of infraction. So so within that concept of an eye for an eye, there is that element of proportion, and I guess you could argue that that's an element of mercy.
I guess. What if it's like, what if it's somebody who only uses their feet accidentally cuts off somebody who uses their hands for work or whatnot, cuts off one of their hands. So this other guy who really only works with his feet, he loses his hand. He's like, whatever, I still got my feet because this is what I do for work. But the person who lost their hand is like, I only got one hand now and I can't work at all. I don't have to think that I use my feet. So I guess even proportionality is subjective. All right, we're gonna keep going because okay, this is because then look at this. This is fascinating. Then the officials, now we're talking about rules of war. Then the officials shall address the troops as follows. Is there anyone who has built a new house but has not dedicated it? Let him go back to his home, lest he die in battle and another dedicate it. Is there anyone who has planted a vineyard but has never harvested it? Let him go back to his home, lest he die in battle and another harvest it. Is there anyone who has paid the bride price for a wife but who has not yet taken her into his household? Let him go back to his home, lest he die in battle and another take her into his household as a wife. This actually sounds more empathetic of a rule and a law. It's not, if you're of this age, this is what you do. You go into war. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you don't have any siblings. Doesn't matter if you're this, you go. That's like rule of law, as opposed to this, which is what?
Empathy.
This is empathy. is this empathy? It's something, right? It's definitely something. It's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't just look at things as this is how it is, but let's look at each person as an individual in their own circumstance, right? And then how would we apply that then to eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, foot for a foot, hand for a hand, right? But then this is like this is another kind of interesting thing to it. The officials shall go on addressing the troops and say, is there anyone afraid and disheartened? Let him go back to his home, lest the courage of his comrades flag like his. Basically, if there's anybody who is like, I'm too scared, I'm afraid, conscious, or I'm an objector, whatnot, we don't want you. Go, because then you're going to bring down the morale of everybody else around you. What do we think of that statement in compared to the statements before and then the statements of eye for an eye? What do we think about this one? I mean, I found this interesting because it's like, it's not really caring about the afraid people and the disheartened people, right? It's focusing on the people who aren't afraid and who aren't disheartened, afraid of like poisoning that.
I don't know, I've been a manager, and if everyone doesn't agree with what I've been directed to direct them to do, then the direction goes nowhere. It just falls flat.
Wow, this is also fascinating. It's almost like, well, too bad, go somewhere else, right? But it's like you either get with the program or you leave. And this is a little bit, I think this is a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more nurturing, if you will, right? Because it's like, you don't like it, there are other places that you can go. There are other places that you can go, like in the work environment. I mean, I think about that when we, but at the same time with like workers' rights and what do we believe in. This is really interesting. I just love the fact that all of this stuff, thousands of years old, is still so relevant. All right, here we go. We're gonna end with my favorite. This is such a good one over here. And we're all about in the rules of war. When in your war against a city, you have to besiege it a long time in order to capture it. You must not destroy its trees, wielding the axe against them. You may eat of them, but you must not cut them down. Are trees of the field human to withdraw before you into the besieged city? Talk to me about this. What's going on here?
No scorched earth policy as part of your military strategy. Scorched earth is not allowed.
Why?
They're a
Burn
form of
everything
life.
down.
What's that, Ben?
The trees or any plantings are a form of life. They can provide life.
And they're not able to retreat.
No, I mean, I watched the storm Monday night here, and I watched
the haboob.
the haboob, and I watched trees in our neighborhood fly blocks away. And I was out listening to some of the tree people cut up the trees that had damaged other property, and they were saying, well, like the birds live off of these trees, for an example. I mean, they're a form of life providing for something else.
But it may also be, right? Let's take a look. Wielding an axe against them, you may eat of them, but must not cut them down. It's almost as if it's saying, also could be, what is the saying? Don't cut off your nose despite
your face.
Right? Here, don't break down everything, because it doesn't say, you must not destroy, it implies, it does not say destroy all trees, because not all trees provide food, right? Not all trees provide food. here it's inferring it's the trees that are fruit bearing.
They could also be health bearing as far as shade.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they provide shade, you know, in front of windows or roofs of houses, or people that
Tables
have to, for whatever reason, sit under them.
and tables to eat at as well.
Yes.
So you need those trees.
Right.
Oh, I like where you went with that.
Yeah.
Not specifically just about the fruit, but the wood and what you can use a tree for, right? Don't just destroy your resources. So then, all right, then here's the question. Is this about mercy, compassion, empathy for the quote unquote enemy? Or is this don't get overzealous and take care of yourself? Right? This is interesting because we talk about where it's often been like interpreted or used as is like, don't blame the future generations for the current generation's transgressions, if you will. Meaning like, don't cut down these trees because the future generations, they should be able to eat from them. They are, they are blameless right now. We should be able to and this will allow for the opportunity for reconciliation and peace and those kind of things, right? It has also been used to say, like what Ben was saying, don't just get rid of everything, but think about yourself too. Play the long game, right? And be able to use all of these resources that are now available to you. Ooh, those I kind of feel are they diametrically opposed? Are those two very different understandings of the same verse? What do we think? Am I reading too much into it?
Well,
Rebecca?
I think, at least in the movies that I've watched during war, it always seems that then once the area is captured, there's a lot of looting. You know, you could say the same thing for the Nazis. They went in and they took all the Jewish art.
Tell me more.
And so this is saying, yeah, you've won the war, but be careful.
Ah, okay. This is fascinating. Yeah, go, Merle.
I'm thinking you have to take care of
And then
yourself,
Brad.
but you also have to take care of others around you.
Why? I agree with you.
You don't
but
know,
why?
you don't know what they're going through as to what they might need or what their needs are.
So what?
But
I'm
part
just
of that
playing.
is
I'm
being,
just playing devil's advocate. Like
I know, but part of
that.
that is being, I can't think of the word, compassionate.
Okay, I like it. Go, Brad.
Well, I'm struck by the question, are trees human? And I think what this is saying is that, trees are not human because they don't have free will. And therefore, we need to be vigilant in our protection of nature because nature can't protect itself. We have
Right,
to
because it
protect.
says they can't withdraw, they can't retreat.
They can't withdraw, they can't retreat. So, because they don't have free will. We have free will. We can protect nature. So I think it's an interesting question, especially today with respect to an ecological.
Fascinating. Like it expands the understanding definition of war and besieging and what does that mean and the difference. Wow, okay. I mean, you could take it in all these directions of like strip mining and fracking and all the the farming industry. I mean, in the Amazon. I mean, well, I didn't even go there. I didn't even think about that. Because it's a long time order to capture it, you must not destroy it. She said. So it is reminiscent to me of what is a just war. Are there, when they say that there's laws of war, rules of war, and what does it mean for there to be a war crime? And I think all of it rooted, pun intended, all goes back to all of this. This is really fascinating. Okay, great. All right, well, on that note.
Yeah, it all goes back to justice.
It all goes back to, but is justice supposed to be blind? And how do we define justice? And what does proportionality really mean? Right? The dude who uses his feet versus the dude who uses his hands. But the dude who uses his hand, because the dude who lost his feet kicked his hand off, but we're going to get rid of the feet guy's hand. Doesn't matter to him. But all of this, justice, proportionality, rules of law, rules of war, what is it? Empathy, rachamim, right? And mercy. Y'all bake my noodle today, but it's always fabulous. All right, everybody.
Thank
Shabbat
you.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shabbat
I'll see you all again.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Thank you.
shalom.